People recording the most embarrassing moments of their lives and then proudly posting it online has become an extremely common trend. I'm still not entirely sure if they do it out of pure delusion, thinking that they're in the right or it makes them look good, or if they do it knowing that they're going to be a punching bag and a spittoon for the internet to just make fun of and point and laugh at. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. I'm just happy to be brought along for the ride. They open up the door and they say, "Climb aboard, Charles. This train's bound for Cringe Town. Take your seat." So, I get to go on these pathetic journeys with our protagonists here, and today I've got a wacky one cooked up for you that I think probably a lot of you have seen, because apparently this went pretty viral on TikTok.
Whew. Let me just get the door for you.
Okay.
He got me at the Cheesecake Factory, y'all. I ain't getting out this car. Yes.
Our main character is upset because her date brought her to the Cheesecake Factory, and now she's refusing to get out of the car. Kind of like a toddler that refuses to get out of the car to go to school because they just don't want to go. She's just offended that he would dare take her to the Cheesecake Factory when that's not the most glamorous spot in the world.
Would you want me to open the door for you? Look. You're recording me?
Yeah. This is the Cheesecake Factory.
God, this just feels so sinister. The video opens with him being pretty sweet. He's like, "Oh, would you like me to get the door for you?" You know, like quintessential Disney chivalry, basically. You know, and he goes around the side to get the door, and that's when he's ambushed with the realization, like, "Oh, you're recording me." And she's doing this all, like, very proud of herself for it, as if she's somehow, you know, winning this whole exchange like it's some kind of competition. Like, he brought me to the Cheesecake Factory, so I'm gonna film and shame him for this in front of my whole audience. It's what he deserved. He commits the crime of taking me to the Cheesecake Factory, an unforgivable sin, because she believes it's beneath her. She's entitled to the highest end restaurant Bikini Bottom has to offer here. Not the Krusty Krab, not the Chum Bucket, but that one restaurant that takes place in the giant pirate ship. I forgot the name of it. And now that she's not there, she's having a tantrum and trying to put this guy on blast in front of her audience for it.
This is the Cheesecake Factory, y'all.
What's the problem with that?
This is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone that looks like this to a chain restaurant?
You want to talk about it? I'm fine with talking about it, even in front of them.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Come on, get up on in the car. Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
I really just don't even understand what the problem is in the first place. At risk of sounding like an out-of-touch fool, what the fuck is wrong with the Cheesecake Factory? I know it's become like a little bit of a meme over the last year or so, but it's not some like dilapidated, rinky-dink stink establishment that just serves toxic sludge and shoelaces like some kind of barren wasteland of bad food service or anything. It's a fine restaurant. It's a fine chain. I've never had like a negative experience there or anything. It's also not super cheap, so it's not like he's, you know, taking her to the worst place he could possibly find via Yelp reviews or anything. Like, I've always enjoyed the Cheesecake Factory. You're not gonna go there and find glory holes in the bathroom stalls or anything. It's a decent spot. So, I mean, if this dude was trying to wine and dine me at the Cheesecake Factory, I might end up strangling his cock with my bussy. I would be appreciative. Like, it's not a bad restaurant. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter what restaurant or whatever the date takes place in, because you're not really going for the establishment itself. You're going for the company of the other person to get to know them and see if you're compatible or see if you can have fun together. At least that's how I envision dating should be. I don't think you're usually going there to just try and get like a good meal out of it. It's usually to try and experience something with somebody else and see how things go, if you hit it off or not.
When you take out a beautiful woman and you're courting her, because I get courted. So you're courting her, right? You're supposed to take care of her. You're supposed to cover her. You're supposed to protect her, cherish her, treat her well, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I agree. I
At the
went
Cheesecake
into this
Factory?
date as I expected.
While I appreciate the free tutorial on dating that she offers, I have to say, this lecture feels like some kind of monologue out of the climax of a romance anime. You're supposed to cherish, cover, protect her, keep her safe, wish her well. you're not going to the front lines of a fucking war zone. You're going to dinner. Like, what do you mean with all of this? It's not like he put you in harm's way. It's not like he, like, sat you down on landmines or something and played a game of chicken. Like, he says, you're just going to dinner, and he's done nothing wrong. You know, she's acting like she's the ADC in League of Legends and he's her support.
With the expectations for myself, to keep you safe, you know, to respect you, to pay for your food, of course, pick you up, of course, and just treat you like a gentleman, which I believe I have done.
I mean, you've been pretty nice, but I mean,
and then
Cheesecake Factory.
I, on the other hand, have certain expectations for a girl I go out with on the first date. I expect her to be respectful too.
That's totally reasonable. Expecting your date to be respectful. I think that's perfectly acceptable. This was extremely disrespectful from her. Not only to refuse to get out of the car because she didn't want to go to the Cheesecake Factory, but then to film this entire exchange blows my mind. How she couldn't process how bad she looks and how much she looks like an asshole here is beyond my comprehension. And I really think it just speaks to this main character syndrome that half of society is deluded with right now, where they're never in the wrong. It's all the props around them that are wrong. Now, there is another thing I want to mention. She doesn't have to go to the Cheesecake Factory just because her date brought her there. Like, let's say she treats the Cheesecake Factory like I do with Burger King. Hell on earth. You know, it's the worst place in the world. Maybe she hates the Cheesecake Factory as much as I hate James Corden, and she just really doesn't want to go. You can still handle this in a really appropriate adult manner by just simply saying something like, hey, look, I just don't like the Cheesecake Factory. I've never really enjoyed it. Is there any other restaurants we can go to tonight and that isn't here? And if not, maybe we can just reschedule and do something else some other time if that's okay. Like, you can still be super polite about it and have it be like a conversation with the other person as opposed to just whipping out your phone to try and dogpile and shame this person because they took you to a restaurant that you think is beneath you.
I mean, I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do as a woman.
But
I got myself all made
up. There's nothing wrong
up.
with the Cheesecake Factory, right?
Yes, there's a lot wrong with the Cheesecake Factory.
Okay, well, look at my plan where we were gonna go originally.
I actually really wish she had dove into like all the problems with the Cheesecake Factory and just gave me her scathing review, because I'm trying to figure out what all she could hate so much about the place. But anyway, I skipped around a little bit here, but I'll fill in the blanks. The guy in the video is clearly starting to get very nervous because now not only is his date being directly disrespectful to him, but now he also has to talk to her audience. So he's like basically on trial right now, getting interrogated and getting pressed because he dared take his date to the Cheesecake Factory.
See, now that's where we should have went. All right there. Call him.
No.
What do you mean no?
See,
I mean,
I'm waiting for a reservation.
We can still get to know each other. Isn't there another restaurant you can call that, like, you know, the equivalent to that? I mean,
I literally
you don't understand. Look at me. I cannot go in the Cheesecake Factory.
There's nothing wrong with
I will die.
Oh my god, her attitude is so infuriating. It's like someone wrote her as a character in a show that everyone is supposed to dislike. It's amazing that this is a real exchange. Now, again, I've cut quite a bit out here because it becomes mainly like a debate. Like, she's treating dating like it's a battle. So he tries to explain, like, look, things haven't been great for me in our experiences so far either. You were like over an hour late, you know, previously, and then you didn't want to like hold my arm or anything like that, didn't invite me in. So I was just getting the signals that maybe we're not at this point where we should be going to these super expensive restaurants together. We should get to know each other a little bit, you know, slower at places like the Cheesecake Factory, which I think is a fine thought process there. Like, okay, so we're not at the point where we're close enough or really getting to know each other enough that we should be going to these like really wild places. Let's start small at something more like the Cheesecake Factory. I think that makes a ton of sense. And here he says, like, look, this is where I think we could go at some point or could have gone. And she's like, nope, that's where we should have gone tonight. Call them now. And he's just like, no, I'm not doing that. So then she's saying, just call something else that's equivalently fancy. He's like, no, I'm not doing that either. Like, I can't believe that she still thinks this is a salvageable situation. This is completely ruined. This is kaput. You are not going to get dinner together tonight after this. You shouldn't be going to get dinner together after this. You have refused to get out of his car. You have decided to publicly try and humiliate him for something he didn't even really do wrong in the first place. Why the fuck would he then go out of his way to go to like another wildly over-the-top restaurant or something like that? It's pure delusion.
So, respectfully, I'm gonna just drop you off at home.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah. I'm up.
So, you just want to call it a night? I mean,
Yeah.
isn't there some kind of compromise or something? Ladies, can you believe this?
I was actually shocked that he still drove her home and offered to take her and drop her off. I imagine a lot of people in this situation would have told her just, get out and take an Uber home or something. So I do think this was a big W move from the guy here. He felt very disrespected because he obviously was. And he said, look, this is where the evening concludes. I'm just going to take you home. And somehow she has the gall to be surprised. Like, I don't understand how she would be shocked that he's just taking her back. You've insulted him, and you have publicly tried to shame him. Why in the fuck would he still try and, compromise to find, a dinner for you two that evening? So, that's kind of where the whole thing stops. I just don't understand why she would ever do this in the first place, and not only do this, but then post it. It's so wild to me. It's such a fascinating concept, because this is a truly embarrassing moment. You have filmed one of the worst dates I have ever seen. Well, I'm sure there's worse dates, but one of the cringiest dates I've ever seen because of you, and you're the one that posted it. I don't know, it's fucking awful. That's really about it. I just had to talk about it a little bit. That's it. See ya.